Hey NCS podcast listeners, this is your host Fawaz Al-Mufti. Welcome to another episode of the Neurocritical Care Society podcast's Newsflash, New Science in Neurocritical Care. We're excited to announce that for the first time we'll be podcasting directly from the NCS annual meeting in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. Highlights from hashtag NCS 2019. I'm also extremely excited to introduce the new intro music for the NCS podcast that was created by Mohan Kadapali from the Division of Neurocritical Care at the University of Miami. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thanks for listening.
Hi, this is Benjamin Miller with the NCS podcast, coming to you live from Vancouver 2019. I'm here with Erda Bekiri, the Cristanne Wijman Young Investigator Award winner, to talk about our new project. Can you tell us a little bit about your project?
So this work is about one of the hot topics in neurocritical care, which concerns individualizing management of cerebral perfusion pressure in traumatic brain injury patients using the assessment of autoregulation. Now let me give you some background about it. Cerebral autoregulation is a protective mechanism that keeps a constant cerebral blood flow despite changes in cerebral perfusion pressure. However, if cerebral perfusion pressure, that we call CPP, is too low or too high, this doesn't happen. And the points at which the mechanism breaks down are called lower and upper limit of autoregulation. Now, these limits are not the same in everyone. In particular, they are modified by brain injury, and they can also change in the same patient during the critical phase of illness. And the technology now allows us to monitor these mechanisms in real time at the bedside. Now let's imagine we have a traumatic brain injury patient admitted in our intensive care unit. One of the goals of the early therapy would be to maintain a proper brain perfusion to avoid secondary brain damage, right? This is done by manipulating blood pressure and controlling ICP. The difference between these two is named CPP, and the international guidelines recommend keeping the pressure in a fixed range for all the patients. However, as I stated earlier, the limits of autoregulatory curve can change during the disease. Therefore, the fixed range of CPP may just fall in the range of impaired autoregulation. So our group, in particular the Brain Physics Lab in Cambridge, has been working on the methodology of assessing autoregulation in real time and using it for calculating personalized targets of cerebral perfusion pressure.
So how would this go about working then?
This is done by using the relationship between an autoregulatory index and CPP. In TBI, the autoregulation index is the pressure activity index, PRX, which reflects the relationship between ICP and ABP. PRX plotted against CPP displays a U-shaped curve where the optimum indicates best autoregulation and is called CPP opt, and where the outer arms of it are where autoregulation is impaired, and if you draw a line at the threshold of PRX for impaired autoregulation, you will get the lower and the upper limit of reactivity. Now, so far, a lot of work has been done in showing that the optimal value can be beneficial for good outcome, and we are now running a prospective feasibility and safety trial called Cogitate.
And what makes your work stand out from everyone else?
In this particular work, we propose to pay attention not only to CPP opt, but also to the whole range of autoregulation, in particular the lower limit of autoregulation. We showed that if the pressure falls below it, the outcome is worse. And this information might be helpful when the range of autoregulation is wide, allowing you to focus on keeping the patient just in the autoregulatory range without pushing for the number in the center. And perhaps you may need to shift the attention to other priorities in that patient.
Well, this sounds like something I'd want in my ICU. Is it capable? Can we do this and get this technology already?
Well, the current trial will give us prospective evidence. However, you can use the technology, and what you need for that is a software that allows you to calculate it in real time by just collecting signals coming from the ICU monitor, ICP, and ABP.
Excellent. I'll go to pick it up in the shop next week. And on this project, who were some of your collaborators that helped you work with?
Well, first of all, the main collaborator was Center TBI, which is a large European project that collected data all over Europe for TBI patients, but in particular the high-resolution team for the data collection, data curation of high-resolution waveforms, actually. And of course, I worked in the Brain Physics Lab in Cambridge, so I would like to thank them for their support, but in particular my supervisors, Marcel Arias, Marek Czosnika, Ari Ercole, and Peter Smilewski.
So where can people go to look up more about these projects?
You can just type in Google ISIM Plus, which is the software we use for this technology, or you can type Brain Physics Lab, which is the group I'm working at the moment, and you can also type cppopt.org, which is the website of the Cogitate trial.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming to talk with us.
Thank you, Ben, for inviting me.
And congratulations on your award.
Thank you.
This is Benjamin Miller coming to you live from NCS 2019.
The NCS podcast is produced by the Neurocritical Care Society, whose mission is to promote quality patient care, professional collaboration, research, training, education, and advocacy in neurocritical care. Our production staff includes Romani Ballou, Mike Brogan, Josh Levine, Sarah Stern-Nezer, Benjamin Miller, Storeen Shepard, and Chris Zaman. The Neurocritical Care podcast series is available on NCS On Demand and wherever you may listen to your podcasts. For more information, please follow us on Twitter at Neurocritical or Facebook. I'm Fawaz Al-Mufti, and thanks for listening.